Good to be with all of you again. And we're going through A Course in Miracles workbook lessons day by day. And we today are on lesson 36. We're really in the theme of holiness. And that's something that I've mentioned that people really have a lot of resistance to, especially when they use the word my in front of holiness, because there's such feelings of lack of worth, of feelings of guilt for things gone past. There's feelings of fear of the future and regret of past events and past relationships and past encounters. And so it's not surprising that when you get to these sections of the workbook, 35, and now we're on 36 today, we're digging into the holiness theme. And it's the application of that to yourself and to everyone else that really is bringing that into awareness in mind, because the mind is the source of causation. Everything and everyone in this world is in mind, and we want to see this idea of holiness spread. Holy Spirit spread it throughout the mind like a lighthouse that takes a big sweep in a darkened sky and just lights up the sky as it sweeps around. We're asking for a full 360 sweep of our mind. We're asking for a mind overhaul. And the Holy Spirit and Jesus are helping us with that. So let's head into our lesson for the day. Lesson 36. My holiness envelops everything I see. Today's idea extends the idea for yesterday from the perceiver to the perceived. You are holy because your mind is part of God's. And because you are holy, your sight must be holy as well. Sinless means without sin. You cannot be without sin a little. You are sinless or not. If your mind is part of God's, you must be sinless, or a part of his mind would be sinful. Your sight is related to his holiness, not to your ego, and therefore not to your body. 4 3 to 5 minute practice periods are required for today. Try to distribute them fairly evenly and make the shorter applications frequently to protect your protection throughout the day. The longer practice periods should take this form. First, close your eyes and repeat the idea for today several times slowly. Then open your eyes and look quite slowly about you, applying the idea specifically to whatever you note in your casual survey. Say, for example, my holiness envelops that rug. My holiness envelops that wall. My holiness envelops these fingers. My holiness envelops that chair. My holiness envelops that body. My holiness envelops this pen. Several times during these practice periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea to yourself. Then open your eyes and continue as before. For the shorter exercise periods, close your eyes and repeat the idea. Look about you as you repeat it again, and conclude with one more repetition with your eyes closed. All applications should, of course, be made quite slowly, as effortlessly and unhurriedly as possible. My holiness envelops everything I see. So, as Jesus said, we're applying today's idea of holiness to the perceived world, the perceived cosmos. And we're letting it transfer to everything and everyone. That's what it means to envelop. We're going to let our perception be enveloped by the holiness within. we're going to let the light of the world shine through us today and look upon everything and everyone, every person, place, thing, every object, every event, every situation. We're going to let our holiness envelop everything. As we practice this lesson, my holiness envelops everything I see. So I looked for something, was guided to this section in the text, chapter 3, section 2, as a support for our extending our holiness today, letting it envelop everything we perceive. And the section is Miracles as True Perception. I have stated that the basic concepts referred to in this course are not matters of degree. Certain fundamental concepts cannot be understood in terms of opposites. It is impossible to conceive of light and darkness, or everything and nothing, as joint possibilities. They are all true or all false. It is essential that you realize your thinking will be erratic until a firm commitment to one or the other is made. A firm commitment to darkness or nothingness, however, is impossible. No one has ever lived who has not experienced some light and something. No one, therefore, is able to deny truth totally, even if he thinks he can. Innocence is not a partial attribute. It is not real until it is total. The partly innocent are apt to be quite foolish at times. It is not until their innocence becomes a viewpoint with universal application that it becomes wisdom. Innocent or true perception means that you never misperceive and always see truly. More simply, it means that you never see what does not exist and always see what does. So beautiful. That second paragraph starts off with, innocence is not a partial attribute. It is not real until it is total. And it has to have universal application. So that means that as we extend our holiness today and we let it envelop the entire perception of the entire world, the entire cosmos, then we're letting that innocence become a universal viewpoint with the Holy Spirit and Jesus helping us with universal application, and that it turns into what Jesus calls, becomes wisdom. Today we're going to let holiness lead the way to our inner wisdom, our intuitive wisdom, our innate wisdom, the spark of light that is in us that could not go out. Even in a darkened mind that believes in illusions, there's a spark of light, and that can be extended and transferred and spread till it envelops perception and becomes a universal application, which turns into wisdom, becomes wisdom. When you lack confidence in what someone will do, you are attesting to your belief that he is not in his right mind. This is hardly a miracle-minded frame of reference. It also has the disastrous effect of denying the power of the miracle. The miracle perceives everything as it is. If nothing but truth exists, right-minded seeing cannot see anything but perfection. I have said that only what God creates, or what you create with the same will, has any real existence. This, then, is all the innocent can see. They do not suffer from distorted perception. So that's why we're doing the mind training. This transfer training in the workbook is so essential, because there could be no exceptions. If any person, place, or thing comes to mind, then you have to give it to the Holy Spirit with a prayer for innocence for everything and everyone. And that innocence comes from within your own heart, within your own mind. Innocence is light. And there's no partial innocence, and there aren't some that are innocent and some that are guilty. This is the distortion of fragmented perception. This is a split mind projecting out a world of opposites and seeing duality, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and it's like a perceptual problem. It's a perceptual distortion. But today, as we extend our innocence and we let it envelop perception, we are escaping, we are freeing our mind from this distorted perception. You are afraid of God's will because you have used your own mind, which he created in the likeness of his own, to miscreate. The mind can miscreate only when it believes it is not free. An imprisoned mind is not free because it is possessed or held back by itself. It is therefore limited, and the will is not free to assert itself. To be one is to be of one mind or one will. When the will of the sonship and the Father are one, their perfect accord is heaven. Oh my, let's let that one sink in. Oh. Oh. Paragraph 5. Nothing can prevail against the Son of God who commends his spirit into the hands of his Father. By doing this, the mind awakens from its sleep and remembers its Creator. All sense of separation disappears. The Son of God is part of the Holy Trinity, but the Trinity itself is one. There is no confusion within its levels because they are of one mind and one will. This single purpose creates perfect integration and establishes the peace of God. Yet this vision can be perceived only by the truly innocent. Because their hearts are pure, the innocent defend true perception instead of defending themselves against it. Understanding the lesson of the atonement, they are without the wish to attack, and therefore they see truly. This is what the Bible means when it says, "When he shall appear or be perceived, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." So that's so beautiful. Yeah, it's really going into integration. It's going into harmony. It's going into unified awareness. It's unified by a unified purpose, forgiveness. So Jesus said, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." And Jesus said, "Forgive, and you shall be forgiven." And that's what we're applying to our mind today as we let our holiness envelop our perception of everything and everyone. The way to correct distortions is to withdraw your faith in them and invest it only in what is true. You cannot make untruth true. If you are willing to accept what is true in everything you perceive, you let it be true for you. Truth overcomes all error, and those who live in error and emptiness can never find lasting solace. If you perceive truly, you are canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously. Because you see them as they are, you offer them your acceptance of their truth so they can accept it for themselves. This is the healing that the miracle induces. Wow, okay, there we go. That was chapter 3 there. And now I think we'll jump ahead to chapter 5 in section 1, the invitation to the Holy Spirit. And let's drop down to the 4th paragraph and to the 6th sentence. As a man and also one of God's creations, my right thinking, which came from the Holy Spirit or the universal inspiration, taught me first and foremost that this inspiration is for all. I could not have it myself without knowing this. The word know is proper in this context because the Holy Spirit is so close to knowledge that he calls it forth, or better, allows it to come. I have spoken before of the higher or true perception, which is so near to truth that God himself can flow across the little gap. Knowledge is always ready to flow everywhere, but it cannot oppose. Therefore, you can obstruct it, although you can never lose it. The Holy Spirit is the Christ mind in which is really aware of all the knowledge that lies beyond perception. He came into being with the separation as a protection, inspiring the atonement principle at the same time. Before that, there was no need for healing, for no one was comfortless. The voice of the Holy Spirit is the call to atonement, or the restoration of the integrity of the mind. When the atonement is complete and the whole sonship is healed, there will be no call to return. But what God creates is eternal. The Holy Spirit will remain with the sons of God to bless their creations and keep them in the light of joy. So how joyful is that? That's your eternal insurance policy, so to speak. The Holy Spirit will remain with the sons of God to bless their creations and keep them in light of joy. The Holy Spirit is a reminder of the purity of heart. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. The Holy Spirit is the great comforter, the great integrator. And we know that the atonement, the correction, is the restoration of the integrity of the mind. It just means that you go from believing in a split mind to a whole and complete mind. You go into an experience of divinity, of divine mind. And as Mary Baker Eddy was fond of saying, there's no life, truth, substance, or intelligence in matter. And she was always talking about the divine mind, the Christ mind. And that's the purpose of everything, is to go deep within and to accept the divinity, accept the divine mind, accept the Christ mind. And today we practice, as we go through our lesson today, number 36, my holiness envelops everything I see. So go forth and let that inner light envelop everything. Let that holiness shine on and in and through everything and everyone that is perceived. So much so that even the idea of situations starts to disappear as you practice this. You don't make any distinctions between any situations or any circumstances. You just let it radiate. My holiness envelops everything I see. You just let it radiate, radiate, and radiate, and cover. It's like a blanket of light, a blanket of peace that you put over the whole world in your mind. Because that is where perception is. It's actually in the mind. It's just been a trick to think that perception involves the five senses, because in the world, the five senses are accepted as a base or a default, but it's actually a function of mind. Perception, distorted perception, is connected. It's actually one with all the what's seeming five senses. The information, the data that they report to the mind is all to the ego. The ego made this world. The ego is the projector of time and space, the projector of the cosmos, the projector of the body, and the projector of the five senses that seem to be associated with the body. But faulty perception is just one error, and it has already been corrected by the Holy Spirit. So there aren't five different senses of error. It's just one error that projects itself into duality and dualistic things, multiplicity. That's what five is. One is the only number that you'll ever know. I'm kind of paraphrasing Three Dog Night. You know, it's really coming down to our willingness to let our holiness come forth and to let it extend and feel it within and let it shine forth to bless everything and everyone. So here we are on the second of the holiness lessons. My holiness envelops everything I see. God bless you. May you go forth in joy and shine your light far and wide today as a gift to your mind, to our holy mind that is the source of holiness. Thank God. Thank God for holiness. Bye-bye.